This is Ron Kelleher with the Inspired Leadership Podcast, episode number 517. Today's episode is entitled, Do You Know the Difference Between Enabling and Empowering Leadership?
Hello, and welcome to Inspired Leadership, the podcast for Christian leaders in the marketplace who want to be the best leaders they can be. And now your host, Ron Kelleher.
Servant leaders care deeply about their employees. This desire to care for the whole person, both emotionally and spiritually, can lead to faulty, ineffective leadership. Have you ever been in a store when a young child threw a tantrum? I've seen several, and I've noted that moms respond in one of two ways. One exasperated, exhausted, and perhaps embarrassed mom tries to avoid dealing with the child's tantrum by bribing the child with the promise of a new toy. The other mom delivers a stern rebuke and perhaps a spanking to reinforce the message that tantrums will not be tolerated. Both moms love their children. But the first mom is enabling a pattern of bad behavior that will likely follow the child into adulthood. Meanwhile, the second mom is correcting the bad behavior and holding the child responsible. She's empowering the child with knowledge of right and wrong, good versus bad, and establishing a pattern that will also follow the child into adulthood. Solomon, perhaps a young father himself, realized the danger of enabling bad behavior in a child when he wrote in Proverbs 22:6, "Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it." Solomon expressed two essential truths in this one verse. First, the training must begin early when the child is young, and second, this formative training will stick. It'll stay with the child as they mature. One day, as I was working through a situation with one of my younger salespeople, I realized there are a lot of similarities between raising children and managing employees. The similarities were so great that I adapted Solomon's wisdom to say, train up an employee in the way they should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. As leaders, we're like the two moms dealing with the child throwing a tantrum. We can either enable or empower. If we fail to hold young employees accountable for poor decisions and results, then we're enablers. However, if we hold employees accountable for their decisions and results, well, then we're empowering them. And this is where servant leaders can get themselves into trouble because they care deeply for the whole person. They may be tempted to let poor performance slide, to not hold employees accountable for their poor performance. You're an enabling leader if you excuse, justify, ignore, deny, and smooth over an employee's bad behavior or poor results. As an enabling leader, you provide support and resources in a way that covers up poor performance. You allow employees to avoid facing full consequences of their bad behavior or unsatisfactory results in the workplace. An enabling leader says, or maybe thinks, things like, well, if I criticize her failed presentation, it'll just crush her spirit, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. If I fire him, he'll have a hard time getting another job that pays this well. He'll probably lose his house and his family will suffer. I can't do that to them. If I can just get him through this crisis, I'm sure his performance will improve on the next project. An enabling leader will fix or solve the problem themselves and avoid having the employee take responsibility or face the consequences for their bad behavior or poor results. On the other hand, you're an empowering leader if you hold employees accountable for their performance and results. Empowering leaders provide support and resources to equip employees to succeed. As such, the empowering leader never uses resources or support to cover up employees' failures. An empowering leader says things like, "Your last presentation did not go well. Tell me why you think you lost this sale, and I'll give you some tips for next time. Your performance has been below expectations for the last 3 months. This position is clearly not a good fit for your skill sets. Let's discuss a position that might be a better fit for you. Or, I can see you're really struggling to complete this project on time and on budget. What support or resources can I provide that will allow you to succeed? In each example, the empowering leader confronts the issue head-on, holds the employee accountable, and offers the support and resources needed for the employee to succeed. I know, sadly from personal experience, that being an enabling leader is never the best solution. While it may seem like a good solution at the time, especially to fix an employee's mistakes or cover up their lack of results, eventually the employee, you, and the organization will suffer. The best long-term approach for you is for you to be an empowering leader who holds employees accountable for their actions and their results. Remember, train up an employee in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Well, that's it for this week, and as always, questions and comments are welcome. Have you been an enabling leader? And how did that work for you, the employee or the organization? I'd love it if you'd come over to the website at ronkelleher.com/episode 517 and leave me a question or a comment. And as always, before we go, I'd like to ask you to do me a quick favor. That is to hop on over to whatever podcast service you're listening to this on. Leave a ranking for the show and a comment if you wish. It really does help us get the show into the hands of more and more people. So I thank you in advance for that and pray that God would help us all to be the powerful and the inspired leaders He intends us to be. That's it for this episode of Inspired Leadership. You'll find a complete transcript of this episode on my website at www.ronkelleher.com. My prayer now is that you'll go out and be the powerful, inspired leader that God intends us to be.